Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today's video was one that I never anticipated making in my entire time on the YouTube platform. The game is gone. Right, before we go any further, make sure to go down below and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Very close to 33. It's the same, I say it every video. If you don't know by now, we're close to 33. We want to get to 40. Go down below if you could. It would be much appreciated. Hit the like button as well. And let's just talk about what has become one of the most bizarre things that I have ever heard in the world of Celtic, Scottish, and especially Glasgow's football. So a lot of you would have woke up this morning, headed on Twitter and seen this tweet. A guy from Australia was saying that within a couple of days that it would be announced Celtic would play Rangers in Australia in front of a crowd in Sydney. He said, you know, it's a done thing. It's going to be announced soon. And the reaction was, let's say, bitter, to say the least. It was controversial. And it was something I think that most Celtic and Rangers fans would probably never have imagined hearing. It was one of those things that when I seen that tweet about an announcement pending, I thought to myself, surely not. You know, it looked like with the more sources coming out and saying it was going to happen, it was likely. But I still thought to myself, no, come tomorrow, this will be in the past. It will just be something that came and went. You know, it's not going to matter at all. And then literally 2 hours later, bang. The tweet from Celtic. Celtic will head to Australia at the end of November this year to take part in a tournament-style competition with 3 other teams, and you can only presume that one of those sides will be Rangers, and you can only presume that it's very likely there will be a Glasgow derby match taking place in Oceania, can't mind, come November. The statement doesn't include the name of Rangers. It doesn't say that it's definitely going to happen, that we'll play Rangers in this competition, that Rangers are going. We're still awaiting, as I make this video, the confirmation that Rangers are one of the 4 teams. But you can only imagine Celtic have refrained from using Rangers in that statement to avoid the undoubtable backlash that will come from it. The reaction when the first couple of tweets were put up this morning was very clear from Celtic fans that this is not a move and this is not a game that Celtic should be pursuing come November time. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about the ever so slight positives. We're going to talk about the overwhelming negatives. But, you know, I think that there's one reason in particular they haven't used Rangers' name in that. And to be honest, there's a lot of backtracking from Celtic in this, and I'm going to be quite honest about that. Let's talk about the negatives, and let's give my opinion off the bat straight away, because I know for a fact there will be people probably watching on in this video and going, oh, it's not that bad, you know. A wee tournament during the World Cup, it keeps the Celtic players playing, it keeps the legs warm heading into what will be the second half of the season. There'll be a lot of people thinking like that, but let's just sit down and be honest for a minute. This is the most tin pot thing that I have ever heard in my life. The fact that there could be, and this is the thing, we've got to use could be right now because there's no confirmation that Celtic will play Rangers in Australia. Now, they could play in the same tournament, but there's still no guarantee that Celtic will play Rangers. That's not been confirmed yet. However, it's looking increasingly likely that that is going to happen. So I'm talking in the context that Celtic will play Rangers in Australia come November. It is one of the most tin pot things I think I've ever heard when it comes to our derby and it comes to Scottish football. We pride ourselves as Celtic fans, as Rangers fans, as being a rivalry, as being a derby which is looked at world over as one of the fiercest, most bitter and best derbies in the world. We look at it as one that is, above all else, purely down to the fact it isn't tin pot, purely because we hate each other and we pride ourselves on that hatred. The fact that this derby is now going to become a friendly in another continent just to parade it off for millions around the world, and especially a crowd in Australia, it just seems a little bit off to me. And to be honest, I think it's one of those things that puts one of the nails in the coffin of what this derby has been going downhill for the last few years. You know, we've seen the crowds dwindle down in terms of the away support, down to, you know, as little as no away fans in the grounds. That was one thing, but this is another one of those nails in the coffin that is properly ruining the image of this derby. We go on and on and on and on about how this derby is the best in the world, it's better above all else because it's not tin pot, it's not a brand thing like these English Premier League derbies. We are now going above and beyond. There hasn't been an English Premier League derby yet to go abroad and do this. So we're jumping that gun. We are worse than them now in my eyes because we're the first ones to do it. We've seen it happen with Real Madrid and Barcelona. I think it happened with Inter Milan and AC Milan, and it was terrible. They headed over to, I believe it was Saudi Arabia or Dubai or something like that. They went over there and played, and it was shocking. It really ruined the spectacle of what the game is. And now we are joining in on that. We are joining this sort of marketing campaign to make it a brand thing rather than the football that is prioritised for us, the supporters. It's taken such a sting out what this derby is meant to be. Now, let me make one thing clear. I've got no problem with the people of Australia. Of course not. Our manager is Australian and I absolutely love him. And I love the country of Australia. I love the people and I love all the Australian people that have came over to this channel to support me, support Celtic over the past year since Andrew's been appointed as manager. They are Celtic fans at the end of the day and I respect them. And I respect the country and I respect the support that they give Celtic. Absolutely. And our manager, it's been treated as a kind of homecoming for him by Celtic. That's what they are kind of dubbing this now, the homecoming for Ange Postecoglou, which is great. You know, send them over to Australia and let them play, you know, Ange's former sides. Let them play another few teams in some friendly games. You know, that's fine by me. My problem isn't with Australia. They deserve to be able to see Celtic. You know, let them go over, let them do a little tour and let the Australian fans get to see this team because it's a very tough thing for Australian Celtic supporters to get to see Celtic. It's not easy to just travel over to Europe and see a Celtic game if you've not got the money to do so, if you've not got the time to do so. It's a really tough ask, you know, especially with the seasons being different as well. You know, it's not the easiest thing for Australian fans to see Celtic. I completely understand that. And I would love to see Celtic go to Australia to maybe play some other sides. It's not that bugs me. It's the fact that we're now putting out our biggest game in the club's history, our fiercest game in the club's history, and putting it out there to be a little old friendly over in Australia for really no reason. You know, there's no reason for this. And it's just a horrible thought to me. It just really ruins everything this game is meant to be, and it feels like everything that's been worked on and built for years and years and years about this derby is suddenly just to go to fall to bits because we're parading it off as a friendly. It just does not sit right with me. And I mentioned the word backtracking a little earlier on in the video, and I want to bring that back up now and sort of explain what I mean by that. Celtic and Rangers have obviously went into this, if they are the two of the teams who are going to play each other in this tournament, they've obviously went into this knowing what's happening. They've obviously went into this in agreement, signing contracts, etc., knowing what direction it was going in. That's the reality of it. I don't think there's any other way to dress that up. This is also the same Celtic and the same Celtic social media team, Celtic board, etc., who have released statements with sayings like "not half of anything." The same Celtic side who, you know, don't use the term "old firm," all the rest of it. They try and distance themselves. And look, I don't want to sound like a Rangers fan or anything, but it just seems sort of hypocritical, if you get me. And it leaves the club with a bit of egg in their face if they're like not half of anything, yet they're willing to take this over in sort of coordination with Rangers to Australia to play this game. I don't like that. It just seems like they are backtracking on everything because a lot of Celtic fans were obviously very happy in the direction Celtic were going in with that. They distanced themselves. They made sure they made their stance clear, etc., etc. However, you know, suddenly, if this is in agreement with Rangers to go over there and do that, they obviously see a marketing value in something that they said they weren't half of. So it really doesn't make much sense to me. And obviously we're doing this as purely as a money move, and you can say everything you like about the money we'll make from gate receipts, etc., televised fees and this, that, and the next thing. I think that this overall is just an incredibly bad move for Celtic in so many different aspects. The only positive aspect is that our Australian fans get to experience a derby game. They get to watch a derby game. In reality, it's going to be Celtic B versus Rangers B. It's a friendly game. Our best players will be at the World Cup if teams make it. It's not going to be anything special. So we're really throwing away what the representation of this game has been for years over a B team fixture come November. And a lot of people will maybe suggest, you know, let's just, you know, pull out of this. Let's pull the plug. The reaction will maybe set it away and change the outcome of it all. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. Listen, it's not the Super League. I think that, you know, we're not going to see mass protests all over the world. You know, it's not going to be like that. We're not going to see huge media coverage that will turn the tides, and we won't see UEFA coming out and threatening with sanctions, etc. We're not going to see that. That's not going to happen. Celtic and Rangers will have signed contracts, they will have agreed for certain things, and it'll all be sort of tied together if Celtic have came out and announced their participation now. I don't think there's any way back, really. If there is, I'll be happy, but I don't think there is. I think it's a really bad move for it to be Rangers we play, and hopefully it's not Rangers we play. I'm hoping that there's a last minute announcement that Rangers aren't part of this 4-team tournament and we are playing someone else, because I just can't bear the thought of this derby being paraded around as this tin pot branded nonsense like they want to do in the Premier League, like they've started doing with teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid. Celtic isn't a brand. Celtic's a football club for me and you, for fans, for, you know, the regular Joe, not this high profile fucking, you know, we're a big club. We're huge, we're a massive club, and we deserve to say we're a massive club, but we're a massive club for the right reasons. This is the wrong reasons, and I don't think there's any way to spin a positive narrative on it if we take that derby over there. I really don't. I'd be pressed to find a genuine sort of acceptable argument for it. I really would. But aye, that's it. I guess we'll talk a little bit about tonight's game. Tomorrow night's game. Is the tone still there for it? We may as well try. Yeah, we play St Mirren tomorrow night. We need to get the finger out. We really do need to play better tomorrow. The last time we played St Mirren, it wasn't good enough. If you remember, that was actually, you know, until our recent run of fixtures where we've dropped points against Hibs and then obviously lost to Bodo. That was the last time I think we didn't win in any competition. I believe that was the last game, and then we went in a spectacular run of form afterwards, which lasted up until Hibs there. So, you know, we need to pick it back up against St Mirren. The thing is, the last few performances have been really, really poor in terms of what we've seen on the park. We haven't looked ourselves. We need to wake up and get that again, especially with Livingston coming on Sunday, especially if Ibrox coming at the start of next month as well. We need that confidence, we need that momentum that a lot of fans have probably lost in the side for, you know, maybe the right or wrong reasons, but, you know, that's the sort of reality I think we're looking at right now because of how poor we have been. But listen, we're top of the league. We got a bit of a momentum boost with Rangers dropping points as well. We need to capitalise on that. But I want to see us back to our best. I want to see goals tomorrow. And I just ultimately want to see us win this game and stay 3 points clear at the top of the table. Yeah, that'll do it. Usually I get a full preview show out, but there's more pressing matters to speak about, isn't there? Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed today's video. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. At the end of the day, everybody's got one. And it won't be the same as everybody else's. But let me know what you think. And I'll see you all next time.